Hello, thank you for watching the video. I'm the Show Pal guy. Feel free to hit like and subscribe if you want. You don't have to do so. Really cool if you did. But every little bit pretty much helps my channel grow. Though right now I do want to talk about this festival here. This Yugioh Masterduel festival just happened, and in this festival, people are locked into playing Beast, Beast Warrior, Wing Beast, Reptile, which pretty much goes to like Ogoloctic and Alien monsters, being considered reptile monsters. But in this festival here, I did play Lunalights, and through this festival, I ended up getting all the gems pretty gosh darn quickly in just an hour or two, and then right afterwards, I ended up getting the King of the Island festival tag in just a couple hours out beyond that. And on all honesty, dude, like this festival was really fun in the sense that I am a very simple-minded person, and I enjoy playing Lunalights. Now, if you don't understand or know the strategy behind Lunalights, I used a pure Lunalight build. It would be the goal is to go summon either of these two, which is Lunalight Saber Dancer or Lunalight Leo Dancer. So these two are proper boss monsters. One of them cannot be targeted by card effects, and then we got this one over here who cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects. And if you're ever stuck in a route where you only have two Lunalight monsters, you can go summon Lunalight Cat Dancer, who cannot be destroyed by battle. So essentially, the main Lunalight monsters, their goal is to go and make a big boss monster, and then that boss monster just can't really be dealt with. Like this monster over here, Lunalight Panther Dancer, can't be destroyed by card effects. So really, you're making this like Towers-esque monster in the festival that people are just very limited in what they can or cannot really do in the game here. Lunalights can go beyond what they normally can do here with combo and stuff, but because we're locked into only Beast Warrior monsters, and also this festival is locked into only specific archetypes, the Lunalights, they make winning games pretty gosh darn easily, honestly. You gotta take advantage of the fact that people don't have all the options they need to get rid of certain bosses, and when you're making Towers-esque monsters over here, who just can't really be destroyed by battle or by card effects or be targeted at all, it makes the game very difficult for your opponents. Also, you can boost up their attack points very easily. Let me go through the card list over here, then further explain later on. But we have 3 copies of Max C because, of course, we have 3 copies of Lunalight White Rabbit, which is used to go and summon a monster from your graveyard. Also, as a secondary effect, where you can go bounce your opponent's back row cards. So if you want to go fusion summon into your big boss monster, but you're afraid of your opponent having a Solemn Judgment, or even let's say a card that's going to go and Infinite Permanence or a Trap Hole or even a Mirror Force, you can lose Lunalight White Rabbit to go and get rid of that back row before you go for the OTK. This deck really is built around beating your opponent in 1, maybe 2 turns and hitting very, very, very hard. Kind of like Ancient Gear Cubics. We have Lunalight Black Sheep, which is used to go and add the Polymerization to your hand. I only play 1 copy of Polymerization because being able to get out the materials needed, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 9 cards in your deck that pretty much say fusion summon a monster, and because you have that many cards that allows you to fusion summoning, you are pretty much nearly guaranteed every single turn, or I say like 9 out of 10 times, where you're gonna go and put out a big boss monster. It is almost impossible not to have a big boss monster out every turn or 2. Then we have 2 copies of Lunalight Purple Butterfly, who is used to go boost up your own monsters while also being able to special summon a monster from your own hand. So it serves multiple purposes there. Once again, you want these big boss monsters out. Most people can't really handle a 4,000 monster. Like it's pretty much, this monster pretty much becomes Chaos Max Dragon, really, where it can't be targeted by card effects, and when you put in Super Poly here, it can't be destroyed by card effects. So it is a big boss monster. Now in a more normal Yu-Gi-Oh case, that is something that people can easily overcome, especially at the higher levels of platinum, at like late gold, definitely in the master levels, and they can easily handle this boss monster. But in the lower levels, I say like some point, like some platinum and below that, they really can't handle Lunalight Saber Dancer, and in this festival they definitely can't handle Lunalight Saber Dancer. But you use this thing to go boost up your monster to 4,000, sometimes to 4,500. There's even a greater way to go boost up your own monster attack points here. You can have this card here, Lunalight Blue Cat, which if this card is special summoned, and you'll special summon this usually off of a Purple Butterfly or a White Rabbit, or by the one single like Monster Reborn card you have here. When this card is special summoned, you can double the attack of one of your monsters. So there was actually an instance where I was able to go get this monster to 7,000 attack points, or I was able to get this monster to like the 7,500 It's pretty gosh darn insane. So when you have this huge boss monster that your opponent can't really deal with, that has protection behind it, your opponent will either scoop or will try to find some way to just beat it down. And the only monster that I've seen to really just overpower your Lunalight boss monsters happens to be alien reptile monsters. But beyond that though, the beast warrior, the beast types can't really handle it. Now of course Floowandereeze and Tri-Brigade are two clear like decks that can handle this monster, but they're limited or not available in this festival event here, and because of that your monster are kind of safe here. We also got here the 3 Lunalight Crimson Fox. This card is great for especially OTKing. You usually use this monster to go use as Parmerization material, and you use it so you can go then when it goes to the graveyard, you can target a monster on your opponent's side of the field, turn to 0. So even if you're in a scenario where your opponent summons a big like 10,000 attack monster somehow, or they summon this big 5,000 beetle like insect monster, you can easily overcome it though, because you can target it, turn it to 0, and then your boss monster overtakes it usually because it usually has a bigger attack points here. We have here the 1 Lunalight Kaleido Chick. It really is the best card in your main deck, but it got limited to 1 for a reason, because you can use this effect to go change its name to any Lunalight monster here. And what you would typically do here is that you want to go and send the Lunalight Panther Dancer with your Kaleido Chick so you can turn it as one of the materials to create Lunalight Leaf Dancer. You will make only 1 Lunalight Leaf Dancer per game, really, but for the most part here, you're going to try to win with Lunalight Saber Dancer because it requires 3 generic Lunalight monsters. But if you're in a position where you can go summon this card here, Lunalight Leaf Dancer, you summon it by using Lunalight's Kaleido Chick's effect to go send the Panther Dancer, so you can go make this monster when you do fusion summon. We got a Lunalight Emerald Bird here. Of course, this works as a consistency booster, where if upon normal summon it, you can send a Lunalight monster from your hand, and you're going to have a lot of Lunalight monsters in your hand. You can go send it to the graveyard in order to potentially get another fusion card in your hand that can help you out. We have 3 copies of Lunalight Tiger, which is used to go bring back a monster from a graveyard. Typically what I would do though was that I would use this card to special summon my Blue Cat to provide the damage boost to my fusion monster, or you can go use it to go bring back the Lunalight Crimson Fox, then use a Crimson Fox as material to then fusion summon it into any of your boss monsters. Use Crimson Fox's effect to go and turn your boss monster. You then use Crimson Fox's effect to go and turn your opponent's attack points to 0, so you'll just overpower your opponent's boss monster with your boss monster. Then we have the Lunalight Wolf here. We're playing with Pendulum monster, but you'll never Pendulum summon, don't worry about it. You use Lunalight Wolf because it basically says fusion summon a monster using materials on your field or in your graveyard. So one thing you could do is that you could go fusion summon monsters from your hand using Parmerization or Lunalight Fusion or greater Parmerization, and then after that you leave the Lunalight Wolf in your hand, you activate Lunalight Wolf, and they can summon another one. So with 4 Lunalight monsters plus a Parmerization, which will happen a lot, you can go and bring out 2 Lunalight Saber Dancers, or you can bring out 1 Lunalight Saber Dancer plus 1 Lunalight Leaf Dancer, bringing you with 2 boss monsters, and your opponent will have difficulty overcoming that. Now then, for the tech options here, you can really add anything else here, but because we're playing a best of 1 here, I'm relying on 3 copies of Dark Hole just to go and beat out your opponent here. When I play this deck, you want to go second. You really do, because if you want to minimize as many weapons and options as tools that your opponent has, and your opponent usually is going to blurt out and just throw everything out, you know, just going first. If you do end up going first, your opponent goes second. So you normally want to go second. You want to have the Dark Hole. You want to clear up any negates or any interruptions your opponent's going to have, and then afterwards you can go and overpower your opponent here. You can fusion summon twice in this scenario here. You can board up your opponent very quickly and easily and take control of the board with your Lunalight boss monsters, and Dark Hole kind of helps that out. It also explains why I have Regeki and Lightning Storm here, where you're having all these strong going second cards here, so you can go second and you can have that 1 extra card in your hand, and you can overwhelm your opponent with your boss monsters. We have the 1 copy of Parmerization, which you'll almost have always access to within the first 3 turns here, because you have Lunalight Black Sheep. We have the 1 copy of Lunalight Perfume, which is used to go special summon a monster from your graveyard, works as an extender. We have 2 copies of Lunalight Fusion here. This is why you are going second with Lunalights, because if your opponent has an extra deck monster on the field, you can use a monster as material from your own extra deck, which means if your opponent has an Xyz monster or a Link monster, and you have 2 Lunalight monsters in your hand and or field, you can use one of your Lunalight monsters in your extra deck as material, use the other 2, then create your Lunalight Saber Dancer or create your Lunalight Leo Dancer. So pretty much you use this to cheat out your strong boss monsters while putting as little actual pressure on the board or ways for your opponent to really interrupt you. We have the 1 copy of Lightning Storm. You got 3 copies of Greater Polymerization. Once again, you'll always have Lunalight monsters in your hand at all times. Use the Greater Polymerization to go usually create the Lunalight Saber Dancer here, because when you fusion summon a monster using Greater Polymerization, your monster cannot be destroyed by card effects. Also, it does piercing battle damage, and in best of ones in a limited card pool here, your opponent will do set card pass, and your opponent will try to stall out until they can go and draw out the card they need here. So you use Greater Polymerization, you go create your Lunalight Saber Dancer. Your Lunalight Saber Dancer will be buffed up and will have like 4,000, sometimes 5,000, heck, I've seen sometimes 6,000 attack points, and you can go beat over your opponent's monster when they're in defense position, and they will lose life points off it. So you're doing this piercing battle damage here, and it just reduces the chances of your opponent having a comeback and having games go on past like turn 4 or 5. We have the 3 copies of Fire Formation Tank, which is used as a consistency booster in order to go get any Lunalight monster you want from here. The only Lunalight monster that I can't get is Lunalight Wolf, because it's a Beast Warrior Pendulum monster, not just a Beast Warrior. It also provides like a short attack boost, and once again, like when everyone's playing boss monsters to go and overtake one another here, that small 100 ATK attack boost does mean something actually. So that is the main deck here. Obviously, you can go switch up and add in more tech options. I was thinking of adding more trap cards to protect myself here, because when you're playing against the alien decks, or even sometimes the insect beetle decks, or even like battle wasp decks, your opponent will find ways to out your boss monsters, and you need to find some way to protect them. Even though they are protected with the can't be destroyed by card effects or can be targeted, and also you got a monster here like Lunalight Can't Dancer who can't be destroyed by battle, there will be ways that your opponent will be able to overcome that. And I think trap cards like Solemn Judgment is a great way to combat those options where people can just overpower your strong monsters. I got here 2 Lunalight Cat Dancers, 2 Lunalight Panther Dancers. You're not always or typically would want to go summon a Lunalight Panther Dancer, because if you have the option to summon this monster, you probably have the option to summon this monster, and you would just rather summon Lunalight Saber Dancers. So I have 2 Panther Dancers, 2 Saber Dancers, 1 copy of Lunalight Leo Dancer. You're only going to summon 1 monster. Once again, these turns here take up to like at most 5 turns. So you should only have one Lunalight Leo Dancer here. If you haven't noticed it, this deck is very affordable here. There's a grand total, like other than the 3 maxis, which I expect everyone to really have here, and the 1 Lightning Storm, which could be any other tech option you want here, you're dealing here with only like 3 or 4 URs. And really, once again, since you're only playing up to like 4 or 5 turns here, it is perfectly fine having 1 Lunalight Saber Dancer and 1 Lunalight Leo Dancer. I have these other tech options here for linking. Obviously, the card here that I'm missing here that I just didn't want to really spend one was Tri-Brigade Shurug. That monster is just objectively like really busted and really strong in this event here, but because Tri-Brigades aren't useful at all in this format here because of the limitations and the semi limits, it's not being played at all though. But it is a good option to have, but not really necessarily needed. I have the Mrs. Radiance, I have the Fire Fighting Durumadal, 1 copy of Shinobi Insect, 1 copy of Cross Sheep, 1 copy of Tri-Brigade Ferrets, 1 copy of Tri-Brigade Bear Bum. I'm never going to summon this monster unless I splash in Tri-Brigade monsters into my deck as an engine. And then the Tri-Brigade Rugal the Silver. To be honest here, like the best options here are the 2 Tri-Brigade monsters of Tri-Brigade Ferraged and then Tri-Brigade Rugal. And if you can add in the Omen, that is cool. If you already have it in your like collection, that is cool also. But really, for the most part here, you're going to beat your opponent using these 2 monsters. So that is my Lunalight deck list, and I expect to see you guys play in the festival and have fun. Have fun OTKing people and just destroying people with your cat monsters, because as y'all know, cat people are cool. Yeah.